There is a certain kind of silence that only appears after midnight. Not the peaceful silence of rest, but the kind that makes you suddenly aware of your own breathing. The kind that makes the room feel larger than it really is. The kind that quietly asks questions you spend all day trying to avoid. What if one day, nobody is waiting for me anymore? For many people, the fear of aging is not really about wrinkles, gray hair, or becoming weaker with time. The deeper fear hides somewhere else. It is the fear of becoming invisible, unneeded, forgotten. Sometimes it begins with very small thoughts. You see an elderly person eating alone at a small restaurant. You walk past an apartment window, glowing softly at night, imagining someone inside sitting quietly with no one to talk to. You hear about someone passing away only to be discovered days later. And suddenly your chest feels heavy because somewhere deep inside a question appears. Will that someday be me? At night, these thoughts grow louder, especially for people who spend much of their lives taking care of others, loving others, sacrificing for others. There is often an unspoken fear that one day when the world moves forward, they may be left behind. Friends slowly disappear into their own families. Children grow up and build lives far away. Partners may leave through distance, heartbreak, or time itself. And eventually, many people fear reaching a stage of life where the phone rarely rings anymore, where birthdays become quieter, where conversations become shorter, where the world feels busy but no longer connected to them. It is a painful thought because human beings were never meant to feel completely alone. Even the strongest people secretly wish for simple things. Someone asking if they ate dinner. Someone noticing when they are tired. Someone remembering their favorite tea. Someone saying, "I'm here." But tonight, perhaps what hurts most is not the future itself. It is the uncertainty. Not knowing whether love will remain. Not knowing whether connection lasts forever. Not knowing whether, after all the years of trying, giving, surviving, and carrying invisible pain, there will still be someone beside you in the end. And maybe that is why this fear feels so personal. Because deep down, almost everyone has imagined it at least once. A quiet room, a slow clock ticking on the wall, rain outside the window, and nobody calling your name. The frightening part is not physical loneliness, it is emotional loneliness. Feeling that your existence no longer deeply matters to anyone. Tonight, if these thoughts have also found their way into your heart, you are not strange for feeling them, you are simply human. And perhaps, before sleep arrives tonight, we should sit gently with this fear together instead of running from it. Because sometimes understanding our loneliness is the first step towards softening it. The fear of growing old alone does not appear overnight. It is usually built quietly, slowly, across many years of life. Sometimes it begins in childhood. A child who felt emotionally unseen may grow into an adult who constantly fears abandonment. Someone who experienced loss early in life may quietly prepare themselves for future loneliness long before it even arrives. And over time, the mind starts collecting evidence. People leave, relationships change, promises fade, life becomes busier. Little by little, many adults begin realizing something uncomfortable. Nothing stays exactly the same forever. At first, this realization feels small, but as the years pass, it grows heavier, especially during the late hours of the night. Because nighttime removes distractions. There are no crowded schedules to hide behind. No endless notifications, no conversations filling the silence, only thoughts. And among those thoughts is often this painful question: if everyone eventually leaves, what happens to me in the end? For some people, this fear becomes stronger after watching their parents grow older. They see loneliness up close for the first time. A father quietly staring at the television long after everyone has gone to bed. A mother pretending she is fine, even though the house feels emptier every year. An elderly neighbor standing alone on a balcony, simply watching people pass by. These images stay in the heart, because deep down, people do not only fear death, they fear emotional disappearance before death even comes. They fear becoming someone nobody truly listens to anymore. And in modern life, this fear has quietly become even more common. The world today is connected digitally, but emotionally, many people feel farther apart than ever. Conversations become shorter. People are constantly busy. Relationships are often fragile and temporary. Sometimes two people can sleep beside each other every night and still feel completely alone. That is why loneliness is not simply about physical isolation. It is about feeling emotionally unheld, feeling like there is nobody you can fully rest your heart beside. Many people carry this fear silently because society often teaches adults to appear strong, to keep working, to keep functioning, to keep smiling. But underneath that strong appearance, countless people are exhausted from carrying invisible emotional weight alone. And perhaps one of the saddest truths is this: the more independent someone becomes, the harder it sometimes becomes for them to admit they are lonely. So they continue living quietly, helping others, working hard, replying "I'm okay," laughing at the right moments, while secretly wondering whether anyone would truly notice if they disappeared for a while. But tonight, it is important to understand something gentle. The fear of loneliness is not weakness. It is evidence that your heart still longs for connection. That longing is deeply human, because human beings are emotional creatures. We are built to share life with others, to be seen, to be remembered, to belong somewhere. And yet, there is another truth many people slowly discover with age. Loneliness is not always solved by surrounding yourself with many people. Sometimes the deepest loneliness exists inside crowded rooms. Real comfort comes from emotional safety, from one sincere connection, one honest conversation, one person who truly understands your silence. And maybe this is where healing quietly begins. Not by trying to guarantee that nobody will ever leave you, because life can never promise that, but by learning that your worth does not disappear when loneliness appears. Many people unknowingly build their entire sense of value around being needed by others. So when relationships change, they suddenly feel empty inside. But your existence has value beyond what you provide for people. You are still worthy during quiet seasons, still worthy when life slows down, still worthy even when nobody is applauding your presence. And perhaps aging itself is not the enemy. Perhaps what truly hurts is the belief that we may become emotionally forgotten. But being remembered is not always about how many people surround you. Sometimes it is about the depth of the love you gave while you were here. The small kindnesses, the gentle conversations, the moments you comforted someone, the warmth you left inside another human heart. Those things remain longer than people realize. And although loneliness may visit everyone at certain points in life, it does not always stay forever. Some people find meaningful friendship late in life. Some reconnect with family after years of distance. Some finally learn how to be peaceful with themselves after decades of inner noise. And maybe one of the most important lessons is this: you must also become a safe place for yourself. Because there will be nights when nobody fully understands your sadness. Nights when the world feels unusually quiet. During those moments, learning to gently care for your own heart matters deeply. Not with harshness, not with self-judgment, but with patience. The same patience you would offer someone you love. Speak kindly to yourself. Create small routines that make life feel warm. Allow yourself moments of rest without guilt. Reach toward people instead of assuming you are unwanted. Sometimes loneliness grows stronger simply because people become afraid to reach out first. But connection often begins with small courage. A message, a phone call, a simple conversation. And although there is no perfect cure for the fear of growing old alone, there is comfort in remembering this. Your future has not been written yet. The lonely future you imagine at 2 a.m. is not a prophecy. It is only fear speaking in the dark. And fear has a way of making empty rooms feel permanent. But life continues changing. People enter unexpectedly. Healing arrives slowly. Warmth returns quietly. Sometimes long after we believed it never would. So tonight, if your heart feels heavy thinking about the future, perhaps you do not need to solve your entire life before sleeping. Perhaps tonight is only about reminding yourself that your story is still unfolding. And somewhere beyond all this fear, there is still the possibility of connection, warmth, and peace waiting for you. Maybe tonight, somewhere in the quiet darkness, you are lying awake thinking about the future, thinking about time, about aging, about how quickly life seems to move. And perhaps there is a small ache inside your chest that whispers, "What if I end up alone?" If that fear is with you tonight, I hope you know something important before you fall asleep. Your life is not measured only by how many people stay beside you forever. Sometimes life changes in ways we cannot control. People drift apart. Circumstances shift. Seasons end. But none of those things erase the value of your existence. You have already left traces of yourself in this world, in the people you comforted, in the kindness you showed without expecting anything back, in the moments you listened when someone else was hurting, in the warmth you quietly gave while nobody was watching. Even if you cannot always see it, your presence has mattered more than you realize. And maybe growing older does not only mean losing things. Maybe it also means becoming softer with yourself, learning that peace is more valuable than perfection, learning that small moments matter deeply. A warm drink at night, rain against the window, a familiar song, a quiet conversation with someone who understands your silence. These gentle moments are also part of a meaningful life. Tonight, you do not need to have your entire future figured out. You do not need guarantees that you will never feel lonely again. You only need to remember this. The version of you who is afraid tonight still deserves love, comfort, and rest. So please, be gentle with yourself. There are many people in this world who also fear being forgotten. Many hearts quietly carrying the same sadness. And somehow, even in that shared loneliness, there is still connection. You are not the only one awake tonight wondering about these things. And perhaps that means you are already less alone than you think. For now, let the future rest outside the room for a little while. You have carried enough thoughts today. Let your shoulders relax slowly. Let the noise inside your mind soften. Let your breathing become calmer. The night does not need answers from you anymore. Only rest. And maybe tomorrow, life will feel slightly warmer again. Maybe someone will smile at you unexpectedly. Maybe a conversation will linger in your heart. Maybe hope will quietly return in small, unnoticed ways. Life often does that. Not loudly, not dramatically, but gently. So tonight, as the world grows quieter, I hope you allow yourself to believe one final thing before sleep arrives. No matter how dark loneliness may sometimes feel, your story is still worthy of love. And somewhere ahead of you, in ways you cannot yet see, there are still moments of warmth waiting to find you. Good night.
chục đấy thì phải có mà tôi phải mà có thứ ra phải trả lại luôn.